Hey folks, welcome back. This is Dominion 6 Rise of the Pantocrator. I just wanted to play this because, yeah, I just want to play it for fun. I've got no plan with this one at all. I'm just going to play and I'm going to record, and that is it. So I think I've got a loose idea of what I want to do. I want to play in the early age, and I want to play as early age Ermor. So let's just get on with this. What I'll do first is I'll actually make a pretender god for Ermor. So we'll go through it because, yeah, I like playing Dominions. I like just reading all the stuff, and yeah, this series is going to be a bit of a chilled pace. A chilled pace. I'm not going to be pushing myself particularly hard. I just want it to be fun. I'm not going to make the game too big. I think the last game that I did was the map was too large, so I'm probably going to just make it a little bit, a little bit smaller this time. So let's see what we can do anyway. Ermor, the new faith. Ermor is in sorry. Ermor is an empire centered around a great city. For centuries it has grown and become more and more influential. Traders and travellers from near and afar come to the city. By military campaigns, diplomacy and trade, Ermor has become a power to be reckoned with. By adopting local traditions and beliefs, the Ermorians pose little threat to neighbours and conquered peoples, but this has begun to change. Sorry, I should have said that they posed a little threat, so that was in the past. A new god is rising. Old syncretistic faiths and spirit worship were banned by a prophet dressed in white shrouds. The remnants of his body and shrouds are buried in the holy city of Eldragate, where the adherents of the new faith are awaiting the arrival of the reawakened god foreseen by the prophet. The all-encompassing old state cult of the Numinas still survives, but the pontifices and Flymen are slowly adopting the new faith. Okay, this is an interesting, really interesting nation. They are a strong nation, I think. They are a communion nation, so to get the best out of the mages, you kind of want to use communions. Their paths don't go quite as deep as some of the other early age nations, because if you remember, the early age is very much about less paths but more, more depth. You often get very strong mages with, let's take Satis for an example. Satis, you've got Sauromancers with the potential to get Death 4 right off the bat. So that's one example. Or you might look at Abyssia and the Warlocks, or the Anointed of Ruach, sorry. This guy just comes straight out with 4 fire, and he's got a very small chance, like 2.5% chance to get a fire 5. So these guys are really strong. So this is what I mean. The early age tends to be very deep paths. However, Ermor are not so deep, but they do have really wide variety. Now, we don't get any glamour and we don't get any blood, but we get everything else pretty much. We've got the four elements: fire, water, earth, and air, and then we get most of the sorcery paths as well. So we get death, astral, nature. So we might want to get ourselves a god that's got either blood or glamour on, and that's something we can look at. So what are Ermor? Ermor are basically, they're based on Rome. They're based on the Roman Empire, and in the early age, it's kind of, yeah. I don't know enough about Rome. I'll be honest. I played so many video games about the Roman times, but I think this is Roman Republic. I want to say that's what these guys are. I think they're Roman Republic before the Marius reforms, but I'm. Maybe not actually with Hastatus. Yeah, actually, the Marius reforms brought in these guys, didn't they? This differentiation. Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to embarrass myself by my terrible lack of historical knowledge. We're going to take a quick look at the nation. It's not going to be a full nation guide. We get the Temple of the Shroud, which enables recruitment of the Equite of the Sacred Shroud. That's our main sacred unit. We also get recruitment of the Prefectus Equitum. So that's this guy here, and then the Archbishop of the Sacred Shroud. So this is this new. I think this is kind of loosely based around Christianity, this new kind of religion that's coming in. It gives us 3 fire gems and 3 astral pearls per turn. So fire and astral is the big, the main things that we go with. Now, I probably won't focus so much on fire this time round unless I feel like it. With playing with Thermini in the late age, I had my fill of fire in that one. So I like fire, by the way. Fire magic's really good fun to use, and I'll never get bored of it. But we've got some other cool stuff, particularly death. And having a human nation that can use death is pretty cool. So we've got the slinger. This is your standard slinger. There's nothing really to talk about there. What's notable about the slinger is, though, we don't get any archers. So he's going to be, your only option really for massed fire, long range fire. He's not that great. However, we do get flaming arrows, so for slingers with flaming arrows is pretty good. We get the Akensis, or the Akenzi, are quickly levied troops or militia and militia. They are often placed in the rear where they're out of the way. Yeah, so these guys are the kind of siege chaff, basically. You're going to be using these guys for sieges. And just quick militia, but for militia they're damn good because they've got decent protection. Look, they've got a leather cuirass, they've got a bronze helmet, and they've got a tower shield. So they've actually got really high defense, look, because of the tower shield. Now they're not actually very good with the tower shield. They're not a great unit, and they're kind of expensive. I think for their resources are quite high. Look, for militia, if I remember right. Well, we can check. Look, let's look at Arco. So these guys have got the. I guess these are their Marco have militia? Yeah, I guess the Peltas. We're not looking at the right ones. Let's look at something else that's a little bit more like it. Let's look at Ulm. No, they also don't have militia-like units. Good lord. TNG. Okay, so the footmen. These are your kind of like militia, I guess. Yeah, so these are actually quite. These are a lot better than militia. Maybe there's not. Maybe you get the independent militias. Maybe they're not as prevalent in the early ages. I remember. Yeah, Machaka get militia. Look. So yeah, look at these. These got low recruitment and low resources and low recruitment. Now I think they've got particularly low resources actually. So they're probably not something that you want to be, generally measuring the rest of them by. But you kind of get the idea, right? So they're cheap. You've got the Retarius and the Gladiator. These guys are interesting because they, I'll read it so you know. And gladiators are slaves trained to fight in the arena for the Emperor's pleasure. Gladiators who survive become very skilled in combat and often use exotic weapons. In times of crises, they can be used in warfare in return for their freedom. They're quick to levy, but will only fight until they have been wounded or hit someone in battle before leaving. It's a little bit misleading. It doesn't mean that they'll get hit and run away in battle, or they'll hit someone else and then run away in battle. It means that they will keep fighting battles over and over until they land a hit or they've been wounded, and then at the end of the battle they will disappear. So these are used in multiplayer as a kind of go away button. This is your panic button, and you basically, these have got, look, 1 resource and 9 recruitment points and 10 gold, so they're really, really cheap, and you can crap these guys out, and they are very, very good, especially mixed in with other troops. This guy with the flail's he hits really hard. They've got decent attack skill. They're not bad in defense. They've got good protection. They've got really high morale. So they're really good. They're like a really skilled unit. And this one, the Retarius, has a net and a trident with a really, really high attack. So yeah, they're both pretty damn good. The flail goes around shields as well. You get +2 attack versus shields, and you get 2 attacks. So these have got 2 attacks. They're really, really good. That's all I'm going to say about them. You will see me using them if we come under threat. Probably they're not very. You're better off using your normal units. But if you're coming up against something really strong, like, I don't know, like other humanoid type units that are really, really hard to kill, like Satis Elite Warriors or something like that, these guys will trade fairly well with them. Okay, so we've got the Levy. Levy are Ermorian skirmishers with javelins and spears. They initiate the engagement by throwing javelins at the enemy. Right, so as you can see, we've got the Roman style troops, and these are really, really good. Okay, they're for the early age, they've got really high defense because they've got decent shields basically, and they've got relatively good protection, and they are well trained as well. Like these basic troops, look, have got good, reasonable morale until we get up to the Hestatus, which have got 11 morale, which is way better than normal, and 5 defense because of the tower shield they've got, and they throw javelins, and they've got a decent sword attack. It's only a length 1 sword attack, but there you go. Then we get the Principe. The Principe is better, basically. He's got more morale. He's got even higher defense. They've got more hit points. They've got decent protection for the early age, and again, they've got the javelin. So yeah, these are really, really good. Again, they take a lot of resources and recruitment points. So Ermor kind of you're going to need order, and you're going to need productivity a little bit, I'd say. Then we got the Terrarus. These guys have got the old tag. They're old. They're the sort of veterans who've survived basically long enough to become experienced. They've got the old tag, so that means they're not very strong. They're losing strength because of the they lose statistics basically. Why would you use these guys then? Because they look like they're worse than the Principe? Well, they've got higher morale for a start. That can be useful, depending on who you're fighting. They've got the formation fighter ability as well, so you can actually get another one of these guys in a square than normal. So they fight packed close in, and their stats are pretty good. They've got really high protection. Look, they got 18 protection, which is higher than the Principe. So they're really heavily armored. That's because they got the plate hauberk, the legionary bond shield, and the tower shield. And they can use that shield pretty well. So they don't hit particularly hard, but they've also got a really long spear. So they're basically, these are like hoplites. They fight like hoplites. Now, you'll likely know how good hoplites are in the era that hoplites dominated. So the Terrarus, I think people kind of dodge these in multiplayer, but I'm going to be building some of these because I'm not, again, when I'm playing single player Dominions, I'm not really just trying to do crazy multiplayer shenanigans. I'm not really, you can do a bit of that, but we shouldn't need to. I'm not going to put the difficulty up that high. I think it's going to be more about thematic play. Okay, so that's our human troops. We've also got a standard bearer who raises the morale even more. So we've got high morale troops. They're well defended. They're quite expensive, but they're decent, basically. Yeah, they're good troops. Really good troops. We've also got the Lizard Auxiliary. So during the subjugation of Cetis, lizard soldiers were recruited into the Ermorian ranks. Lizard auxiliaries have since been a regular part of the Ermorian army. The lizards are armed as the Hastati, but wear ringmail cuirass of Cetisian design and use rounded shields instead of the tower shield standard to the Imperial legions. These guys are really good as well. So they've got, look, defense 14 on a basic unit is pretty good. They got protection 14 as well. And they are cold-blooded, so you have to be aware of that. They don't fight very well in cold, but they've got swimming, and yeah, you do have iron weapons, but I'm pretty sure if you swim, you don't. I don't think you rust your weapons swimming. Obviously, if you go underwater, you will, but they can't go under the sea. They can literally just cross rivers. This is what they mean. Swimming units also have only minor penalties for fighting underwater, yeah, so we can fight underwater better if they can get underwater. They've also got swamp survival. So they fight well in swamps. And actually, enemy units do not fight well in swamps whatsoever. So if you have got the swamp survival ability and fighting in swamp, it's a real big thing. Okay, so those guys are pretty good. Nothing else notable about them. Then we've got the Equite. These are just these are a cavalry. They're not bad. They've got defense 16. They've got attack skill 10. Now the Warhorse, yeah, it's only got light scale barding. They're not really heavily protected, but they're pretty good. They've got 20 hit points. And yeah, there's not much more to say about them. They're just cavalry, basically. They're a decent cavalry. They got the light lance, so on their very first attack, they get a decent lance attack, and then they've got a broadsword to fight with and a shield. Then you've got our sacred unit, which is the capital only recruit, and this is the Equitator of the Sacred Shroud. Now these guys carry a sacred shroud on them, which gives them a recuperation ability. So these are a really good sacred unit. They're not really good, but they're pretty good. They got high defense and reasonable attack. Their protection is not the highest, but their warhorse is pretty good. Yeah, I think it's the same warhorse that you get before, but these are also sacred. So both of these will take a bless. So if you want to play Bless Ermor, which you can do, I guess, that will, playing Scales Ermor is pretty fun, I'd say, because you get to play with all of these cool troops. You can have big armies of these nicely thematic troops, and that's what I'm going for. Okay, well, have a quick look at the commanders, and then we'll start playing. I'll actually make a pretender. So we've got the scout. He's a normal scout. Nothing more to say about him. We've got an assassin. He's a standard assassin. He's got the poison dagger and a short sword. These are pretty good, but they're expensive to be used as scouts, as it says. And yeah, you really want to be using these en masse if you're trying to use them to expand and stuff. I think they're kind of expensive to do that with. I think with these guys, you really want to kit them out with stuff. But anyway, Centurion is our basic commander, and he's actually got leadership 100. So you're like Ermor have got really good commanders. So yeah, he's kind of expensive for a basic commander, I guess, but you get what you pay for. He's pretty good, and he's got leadership 100, so immediate morale bonuses. Then you got the Legatus Legionis, and he's got a leadership of 150, so he gets +2 squad morale. Your Ermor troops are going to have really high morale. They're really organised. And morale's so important in the game, so he's actually he's quite a strong commander as well. He's got 13 hit points, attack skill 12, defense skill 12. There are better items now for kitting out human thugs. It wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to turn this guy into a thug. I can think of something better that we could do though, namely this guy. Yeah, so let's look at him. The Perfectus Equitum. He's our sacred unit. He's a priest level 1. He's also sacred, and yeah, he's basically he's a cavalryman, but he's got 100 leadership, so he's a good leader. They've got a decent map move, so you can use these fast moving armies of cavalry. He's expensive, but he would make a decent thug look, because you could put yeah, he's just got a whole bunch of defense. So if you stack some defensive stuff on him and some more protection, and maybe have a bless that will support that, he's going to be pretty good. The other thing is he's got recuperation, so if he does pick up an affliction or something, it will eventually go away. And he's got skilled riders, which just makes his mount even better. Yeah, increases the morale and defense skill of the mount. So yeah, he's going to actually get 11. Oh, hold on. Skilled rider 2. The defense increase is most effective on lightly armored horses. It is reduced by the encumbrance value of the mount's armor. Okay, so yeah, we might actually have the light scale barding might actually be affecting that. It's kind of interesting. The rules around mounts are actually quite complex. Okay, let's have a look at our priests. We've got a standard priest called the Acolyte, or Acolyte, as people say now. We've got the Bishop of the Sacred Shroud. These Ermor have got really, really strong priests. That's the other thing about them. So they've got Holy 2 priests, which are kind of expensive look, 155 gold, but you get what you pay for. They're a sacred unit. They've got recuperation again, and they're healers. These guys will heal diseases and afflictions, basically. So you can stack these guys up with your sacred units as you've been, using them, and then they'll come back with afflictions, and these guys will gradually heal them. They're very, very good. They're old, but the max age is 90, which is pretty crazy. There you go. Next, we've got the Augur as the first of our mages. This is a really important mage for Ermor, because this is the guy that you tend to use for your communion slaves. So they've got Astral Magic 1 and Fire 1. Fire 1 is not that useful on its own, but you can do stuff with it. I think Fire Magic's actually a little bit better for Fire 1 now in the new game, in Dominion 6. I'm saying that tentatively. I'm sure that there are a bunch of more useful Fire 1 unit uses, and remember, just one gem can get them up to Phoenix power, so that they can actually get up to Fire 2 anyway with a gem. And they are also fortune tellers, so you can actually go with an unlucky build with Ermor, and you could go into unluck if you want to trash your scales, and you will not get the worst effects of it, basically, because of the augurs, if you've got a few of these guys scattered around. These guys might be decent. Yeah, these are probably quite cheap. Yeah, look, they're only 90 gold. They're pretty good for their research is pretty good, I'd say. Yeah, these guys aren't mages, so they don't get to research. Then you've got the Augur Elder. These guys, see, this is what I mean, that you've got quite wide paths with these. Look, you can get air on them as well. So they can potentially have fire, astral, death, and air. Or you can get death 3, you can get astral 2, or you can get fire 3. There's a small chance for the others as well, but we don't really count those. These guys are expensive, and they're slow to recruit. So, but they are also fortune tellers. They're also old. That old's not a big problem with Ermor, really, because you've got the bishops of the Sacred Shroud. They heal everybody if they get diseased. So they'll keep on croaking for a long, long time. The best thing about these guys is, as well, obviously, you can plug them into a communion, and your death 2 can go up to death 4 or 5, or fire 4 or 5, and you're starting to do some of the really, really big spells. The same with the air. So we've got a good mix of magic in this nation. We've looked at him. We've got the Archbishop of the Sacred Shroud. He's a capital only recruit, and I think it's he as well. Yeah, these two are capital only, but he's Holy 3. So there's not that many nations in the game that have a recruitable Holy 3. I think Citizen is another one. Yeah, because the Citis gets the Priest King. Where are we? Yeah, the Lizard King. Sorry, he's a recruitable Holy 3. He's an amazing unit as well. Another slow to recruit, but I use these all the time. Citis is one of my favorite nations, by the way. Early age Citis, and they're absolutely brilliant. They're the nation I'm probably strongest with in multiplayer as well, I think. yeah, so this guy is Holy 3. He's also got healer. He's got the recuperation. He's old. He's not very old, but he's old enough. He was never a very good combat person, like combat guy in the first place. But you can potentially put a crystal matrix on these guys and plug them into a communion, and then you've got all the really, really big holy stuff as well. But just being able to have a Holy 3 recruitable is really, really useful. We could probably get quite a high Dominion score in this game and try and win with a Dominion push. Okay, finally, so these guys, the Flymen and the Pontifex, they are the remnants of the old religion, and they can be recruited in basically anywhere, non-fort provinces. So as long as you've got this guy is holy, so you're going to need a priest, and this guy just needs a lab. But he's sacred. Oh yeah, okay. So he's going to need a lab and a temple. This guy's just going to need a temple, I think. Oh no, they're both going to be. All right, so they're both mages. That's curious. Okay, so the Pontifex. This is quite useful because he's cheap. His upkeep cost is only 58 gold per year, right? So that's probably cheaper, I'd say, than the Augur. Yes, it is. Although he's giving us 9 research. This guy is giving us... Sorry, this one here is giving us 7. But he's only 58. He's got a kind of crappy path, which isn't, fire's not great. But he's a Holy 2 mage for 58 gold. Yeah, he's actually cheaper than the Bishop of the Sacred Shroud. He's less useful, I'd say, because he hasn't got healer and recuperation. But, Fire 1, you can do stuff with that. You can give him a gem and he can cast Phoenix power and then start doing elementals or whatever. So he's not useless. But yeah, these are going to be... You can bust these guys out fairly cheap and use them as research monkeys, I guess. We've got the Flymen here as well. These guys have actually got... These are your only access to nature and to water magic, so you can do a little bit of nature and water magic too. So you can get some, you want to get a load of these out to just search for gems. We've got really, really wide path access, so that's fun. Okay, so we've basically gone through all of these, and next we need to go for a god. I've not really thought too hard about what I want to do here. There's some kind of cool stuff you can do. You can go for the Great Archon, the alchemist chicken, if you want to call him that. He's quite cool. This unit is exceptionally good at converting magic gems to gold using magic rituals. So you could do some great, like Lucid Tactics will show you some crazy stuff that people came up with for this when in multiplayer, where people were buying. The player was, what was he doing? This was before it was kind of like changed a little bit with Makone, but in diplomacy he was basically going, oh, if you give me, I'll sell you, if you give me gems I'll give you gold, basically. So he was selling, if you got any unwanted gems, I'll sell you them for gold. So these people were giving him the gems, and then he was alchemizing them into gold at some crazy rate, and then he was like, selling gems to other people, and he just had this crazy game going on where he was making huge amounts of money and then using it to create massive armies. It's hilarious. Very, very brilliant strategy. I'm not gonna go too mad with this. There's some really, really cool gods in this, by the way. We can have the Divine Emperor. This guy is a Dominion 2 Emperor, but he's not really like, usually you get monsters in this category. He's not really a monster. He's an Astral Mage, and he increases Order by 1, but we actually get Order 1 anyway, so that's not going to increase it. It doesn't stack, I'm afraid. But we get this guy for cheap, and he's kind of like he's got bearers on the mount, which is kind of funny. These guys are slaves, but yeah, he's basically his Astral, and new magic pass only cost him 10. So he's an interesting choice if you want to potentially go with a very, very, with a Rainbow Mage or something. That's not so good in Dominion 6. They've kind of made that more difficult to do. Now, before we make a god completely, let's just look at one of the interesting things about Ermor. Now, if you're new to the game and you don't really know much about where they go in the Middle Age after this, I won't spoil it for you. But let's just say, yeah, I'll try not to spoil it for you. But yeah, they've got death, and so death is some, they're interesting in that they they get death magic on a kind of like standard human nation. And I think I want to play with death. I really like death magic. I'm familiar with it. I use it quite a lot with Satis. So I think what we could do is pick. We're going to pick an interesting. We're going to pick an interesting god. The Statue of the Underworld is pretty interesting. It's a statue. It's immobile, so it's not going to see much combat. But it's quite high in death magic, and it enables you to have higher death scales. You don't really want to do high death scales because you're going to kill your population really, really quick. However, it's just thematically interesting, and this could be an interesting theme. You know, if we want to kind of do the transitioning into Middle Age Ermor thing. Then we got Titans. I can't remember what it was that I played. Oh yeah, I used a Titan, didn't I, in my last game? Maybe we do some. Maybe we pick a monster. He's the Prince of Death. Gosh, he's expensive. He's got a reanimation bonus. That's kind of cool. Got Death 3. What's he got? He's got 4d6 shadows at his side at the start of each battle. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so he's kind of leading really, really heavily into death. We have Virtue. Yeah, this is kind of... I forget what these things are. I got attacked with these in a multiplayer game recently, and they were like, this is a pretender version, but God, that was difficult to deal with. We've got the Ferryman. And he's got water and death. We could go with something like interesting, like a Fountain of Blood, because this will give us blood magic, and we could kind of break into blood a little bit, and then you can have Demon Ermor, but it's not very thematic for them, I don't think, and we don't need to have every single path. We could go for the old pile of bones, like the Demi-Leash, but again, it's kind of, I think it's probably been done a lot. Got the Ghost King and the Master Leash. Yeah, there's lots and lots of options. Let's go with a monster, because I think a monster will be fun. We got the Gorgon and we got the Immortal Gorgon. Now, this Gorgon is Earth 2, Nature 1. That's not bad. I don't think we get great Earth access on this nation, do we? Yeah, we only get a little bit of Earth. I think it's... Yeah, he doesn't get it. It's just a little bit of Earth we get with the Flymen, is it? Yeah, we get a little bit of Earth with the Flymen. That might be useful. Alternatively, we got the Immortal Gorgon. This is not nature. This one's got death. So we've got the Golden Claw and the Snake Hair. The Snake Hair is like 5 attacks, look, but it does a weak poison attack. But what's nice about this one is it's got Dominion Immortality. So if you die in your Dominion, you can just come back straight to life. Well, not straight to life, but 3 turns, I think it is. Got recuperation as well, so you can actually use this quite, you know, as a thug. You can kit it out, and yeah, you can basically use it as a kind of it's not going to do well. Maybe a bit of a super combatant. Got fear, that's pretty useful. It's flying as well. It's also got petrification. This unit is so hideous that onlookers will be petrified if they attack the beast. Stone and spirit form beings are immune to this effect. I like the idea of this. Really, really interesting. But I don't want to be relying too much on my god. I want to be relying on on Ermor itself, on the troops. Statue of War. This gives us fire magic. Yeah, so not very imaginative. Got all these cool Titans as well. Man, there's so many options now. It's so cool. Maybe we just go with, what about the normal Gorgon? Now, the normal Gorgon's a little bit more difficult to use because it's not immortal. So it's difficult, kind of, look, and new magic pass costs, they're really, really expensive on this one. But we're not really that bothered about that. But the Gorgon would be kind of fun. The other one I could think of is maybe using the grey one. The grey one, this one's kind of interesting. The grey ones, Grey, are 3 crone sisters spawned by Phorcys, father of monsters at the dawn of time. When the Pantocrator reformed the world, he slew or banished all monsters that threatened the world. The Grey, I think that's how you pronounce that, While not nearly as powerful as their father, were imprisoned and chained in a Stygian cavern as a precaution. For millennia, the crones have waited, getting older and angrier for every year that passed. Now, with the Pantocrator gone, their shackles are weakening, and their malice can be felt by those who dream. The Grey Ones are incredibly old, and their bodies are frail and weak. 2 of the sisters have lost their eyesight, and now the 3 of them share a single eye. All 3 sisters use death, water, and glamour magic, but they have all mastered different magical paths. The first of the sisters, the Terrible, uses blood and nature. The second sister, known as the Warlike, uses fire and earth. And the third sister, the Destroyer, uses air and astral. So this is a really interesting one. And also, this one's got a trinity. This is a trinity. So there's the same being. They can split up into 3. And the 3 spread dominion like an ordinary single ordinary pretender as long as they stay together. If they're apart, they will not spread any dominion at all. One member of the Trinity being alive is enough to keep the incarnate only bless effects functioning. This is really, really cool. She's cheap as well. So this will allow us to get kind of really nice scales, which I'd quite like. But they are blind. Let's go with this because I think this is going to be fun. So we'll go with the grey one. It's quite thematic, I think, for Ermor. So let's give her really... we're going to get glamour. But let's give her some blood magic as well. So we can actually do some of the cool blood and glamour stuff. Yeah, we don't need to go very high in death because we've already got decent death. But look, I mean, 8 design points to go up to level 2 is pretty cheap, so we might as well do that. Having blood and glamour could be quite fun. Oh, she's also got water as well. Going up to water 4 could be pretty good because that way you can kind of boost it higher. I think, yeah, I think you need 4 in order to do some of the boosters here. You had fire 4, water 4, then you could get the staff of elemental staff as well, which would boost all of these. Okay. We want a decent Dominion score, I think. Let's just have this thing dormant. We don't need it out early. And then we want good scales, so we can actually go order 3, which is really rare. It gives us more recruitment points, but I don't think we're going to need anything that high, to be honest. Growth's nice to have. Productivity's nice to have. Then you got luck and magic. I'm not going to go into either of these too much. Now we could do really, really well with luck because we've got the Orgas who will, because even going into luck is going to increase your events by 6%, and you get negative ones as well. Just because you get luck doesn't mean you won't get negative events. Same with this. You get more events, and more of them are going to be misfortune. Yeah, I think we'll just leave this as it is. We don't need to go too high. Maybe we have them imprisoned, and maybe have it imprisoned, and then we just have a nice scales build. Maybe I go quite high into. Yeah, so get quite a high Dominion score. Yeah, something like that. Oh, there we go. We've used all our points. That's quite nice. That's quite neat. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so here we go. Oh, hang on. We haven't picked our bless effects. Now, having a rainbow is not so great anymore. But what we want to do here is we want to check out what we can put on our Equites of the Sacred Shrouds, because these are a decent unit. So probably want something to increase defense and or protection, or just make them more killy. So blood surge would be a good one. We've got attack skill, would make them kill stuff faster. Defense skill would not be a bad idea. Undying would be pretty good. This gives you blessed units will fight on even after they've been killed. Undying 2 hit points. Living units that have died will die for real after the combat, but undead units will survive the ordeal. We could also blur them so they're more difficult to hit. That's pretty cool. Blood surge is a really good one. Blessed units will receive a blood surge as soon as they kill someone. The blood surge effect will last a few rounds and greatly increase the combat abilities of the unit. +3 attack, +3 strength, +1 defense, +1 invigoration. That's always worth getting. We've got 10 bless points left. Blur is good. We'll make them... Yeah, attacking units have their attack skill reduced by 2. They're going to be harder to hit. Defense skill would make them even harder to hit. And then I think we give them... What's Righteous Wrath? Blessed units will become filled with Righteous Fury if another sacred unit is killed in its vicinity. The Furious one will get increased attack, strength, and morale for a short while. +3 attack, +3 strength, +6 morale. That's pretty good. That might even be better than attack skill. We've got 1 bless point left. Can we get attack skill with that? No, I don't think we can. So we could probably go with... Maybe we go with Undead Command. Or Undying. Let's go with Undead Command. The reason being is because we got some decent commanders. And... Yeah, he's sacred, for example. So just giving them... Just having the ability to have some undead leadership would be pretty useful. Yeah, they don't naturally get any. What about these guys? Yeah, they get 100 undead. Okay, so Augur Elder would be able to have even more undead. Okay, I think we're going to go with that, guys. So let's click OK. What should we name the god? We'll call them the 3 witches. Oh, hang on a minute. So you give them different names. Oh, no. Okay, just bear with me. I'll pause this and get this set up. Sorry, folks. Yeah, it was something like this. This is kind of... If it wasn't quite like this is good enough. So, yeah, Righteous Wrath, Defense Skill, Undead Command, Blur, and Blood Surge. Yeah, and then a bunch of Dominion stuff. Imprisoned. Okay, try again. So let's just keep these guys named as they are. All praise Asterakia and Laodike and Crocilier. Okay, right, guys. So I'm going to end the episode here. We'll start the game in the next episode. So yeah, look forward to that. I hope you're excited about a new Dominion series, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in the next one. Take care.